contend. Certainly, they may be trending that way with Matt Blanchard, and they're even though he's injured with with a broken hand or a broken knuckle, I believe specifically, they want to keep him off the practice squad, off of waivers because he has looked good enough to be a project, seemingly.
Yeah, I. Do you really think he's the answer, though? I mean, I'm not even sure they think he's the answer.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so tough to say because I hate stupid narratives, and the stupid narrative with Matt Blanchard is the fact that he's from the Chicagoland area, and that he grew up a Bears fan and all that sort of stuff. But I don't need that in my quarterback. What I need is someone that can put the ball where they have to make good decisions and stay upright and complete a season.
Yeah, I think
I mean,
I think kind of what we want is Jay Cutler's arm on maybe I hate to say it, maybe Kyle Orton's head, if that makes any sense.
well, I'd certainly take Aaron Rodgers, but
Well, I don't think we're going to be getting that anytime soon.
oh, I know. But more his his decision making, I guess.
Well, and his mobility and his arm don't hurt
Yeah,
either.
exactly. But yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, if things go, the only way that I wouldn't mind them kind of tanking the season or just blowing it up from the start was if heaven forbid, Jay Cutler goes down, the first play of the first game, or in the first game or early in the season where their record is abysmal, so they can try to possibly go after, a number one draft pick, specifically in what everyone's speculating in Johnny Football.
Oh, do you really want that? Do you want
That's the thing. I don't think he's as good as Andrew Luck. I don't think he's even as good as Cam Newton. Um,
He thinks he is, and that's the problem, I think.
yeah, I think he kind of falls under that Alex Rodriguez sociopath and
Yeah, how about it?
narcissism. Yeah. So, quarterbacking right now, there seems to be a dry crop going on. There's not a lot out there. I didn't mind, and I actually kind of hoped that during the draft, this past year's draft, I kind of wanted Matt Barkley to end up with the Bears.
I kind of liked Matt Barkley as well. He, the fact that he's in Philly and no one knows what that's going to turn out like.
Yeah.
I kind of feel bad for Barkley himself and possibly all Philadelphia fans this year. I'm not sure Philly's going to even win a game. That's kind of my outlook
Wait
on
a
it.
minute. Wait a minute. Chip Kelly's your guy.
Yes, and well, I don't know if Chip Kelly's my guy. Okay, Oregon was my
All right.
team. Uh, he, he had some crazy offenses, which works in college, and also he had the fastest freaking guys in college football outside of the SEC.
Yeah.
Now everyone is the same speed. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, uh, the other teams in the NFL are just as fast. I'm not
Right.
sure if, I don't think he's going to bring a gimmicky offense, but whatever, how well does he know a pro style offense? And if he does try the gimmicks, how well are they going to work? And that team has been decimated with injuries and just it doesn't really have a whole lot of talent on it right now.
Yeah, Philadelphia's not in what we call here a good spot. They're kind of in this football limbo, and they're at a juncture where they can go young if they want to, and they want to rebuild some things. They certainly have, I think, a good
They could also
set.
trade for Vince Young.
But you have some really, I think, from my perception at least, they have a lot of pieces that could just crumble at any second. Specifically, one of the most important pieces, Michael Vick, and I only say that to injury because he's that first generation of the mobile quarterback where he can scramble and he can move, but
He can also die on the field.
exactly.
And unfortunately, well, whatever. Unfortunately, fortunately, he he was never the most accurate passer either. I think some of the quarterbacks that are quote mobile quarterbacks right now, Wilson, RG3, I believe they are more accurate than Vic. Vic had a
Yeah.
strong arm, but he not very accurate with the short passing game. So it, to me, it wouldn't be at all surprising if he's not even the starter in Philly.
Yeah, I think what they'll end up doing in Philly is using Vic just because he is the veteran quarterback and can understand an offense and has shown some sort of ability to do that. Uh, as far as his arm's concerned, his arm was always good enough to be dangerous, and that's I think what kept defenses honest. But between that and seemingly always having to dedicate one, maybe two linebackers, or a defensive tackle or a defensive end to spy on him, and not get that full rush that you want on a quarterback. It's always been a chess match with him, and in his as things have gone, well, as time's gone by, he's gotten older. I don't want to say that his game is going to become more one dimensional, but I don't think we've fans or NFL spectators have seen that sort of progression towards his arm being more accurate. So
Yeah, and like you said, the fact that he's getting older, I think he's still mobile, but he's obviously not as dynamic as he used to be. He's going to
yeah,
have to prove that he can make those passes in the pocket, and that's going to determine probably a lot how well and how far that team goes.
yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Let's see. Do you have anything else for the NFL?
Um, I'm just really looking forward to it. I got a couple of fantasy drafts coming up in the next couple of weeks, and I really want to get this started.
Oh, I hear you. And the biggest reason why we want to get it started is because of the complete and utter lack of baseball that's going on right now in Chicago. Both teams, well, the Cubs have gone about their game plan, and the problem is this is watching a tree grow. It's not watching a flower come up, specifically because it takes so much longer to develop what they want. And it's been painful at times to see some of the regressions that have gone on, specifically with Starlin Castro and his, I don't know, from what I've been hearing, a lot of some of the stats that are getting thrown out, or I think I heard a piece on one of the afternoon shows here from Joe Sheehan, one of the more adept sabermetricians and stat heads out there, is that Castro's when he makes contact, it's all for naught because he's not making good contact. And while good subjective, what it means is okay, he's not getting that line drive power, he's not getting hits when he's making contact.
That's no
One of
good.
the Yeah, that's not good, especially for somebody that was on pace to hit, in his very early in his career, 2,500 hits. To get 2,500 hits, which puts you up there with some of the best shortstops that have been around. And one of the things that they've talked about is pitchers have figured him out, and that he doesn't hit fastballs well. Well, one of the one of the cardinal rules in baseball is if you hit the fastball, you're gonna be okay. While the fastball is said to be the most dangerous pitch in baseball, a lot of, I guess, the words got out on him. We'll see what happens, whether he makes the adjustments and does become a better fastball hitter. We'll see. But the regression in his mental capacity for the field is very disappointing.
Well, I think goes hand in hand. I think he's taking his struggles at the plate to the field with him, and it's quite apparent that's what he's doing because he's made mental mistakes in the past, but this season has kind of pretty much just topped them all. It seems like once a week and it's not just something small. They're head scratchers. Professional ball players do not make these mistakes once, let alone over and over and over. I really think he just needs this the off season to get here, clear his mind. I know he's been known as a partier. Let's hope that he realizes that he can't really do that anymore. Maybe he needs to talk to Patrick Kane. You know, grow up a little. Uh,
Spend some time in Europe.
you know, bring your mom with you. That's fine.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, clear your mind. Get back to basics. He probably has 30 different people telling him what he's doing wrong at the plate. I'm sure that's not helping.
Yeah.
And I could almost take uh, the struggles at the plate if he wasn't making these mental errors as well in the field. It's just one big. It's a domino effect. It's one big disaster, and you know the Cubs have plenty of guys coming coming through the minors that can play shortstop and third base. Is there going to be a spot for Castro if he doesn't turn this thing around? And if not, if he continues to be this bad, what can you get for him? I really think his value is taking a hit this year. I'm not sure how much you're going to get for him.
Yeah, it's very interesting to hear this talk coming about when 2 years ago, heck, even a year ago, you're saying, okay, you have an offensive cornerstone in Starlin Castro, or somebody that at least you can project out that has shown some consistency, continuity, those sorts of things behind the at the plate. And you've kind of just dealt with the glove as it is. But when the bat's not there, it only magnifies the errors made with the glove and in the field. So no, you're right. I'd hate to say that a change of scenery is going to help him, but I almost feel like that's my first blush at it. And with what the Cubs have been able to do as far as drafting and developing middle infielders and the left side of the infield, um, I'm amazed at how consistent they've been. And the shortstops have been some of the key pieces that have gone away. I think a shortstop went to Tampa Bay for Matt Garza when he came in, but yeah, and that was like, oh, okay, well, you got this guy stacked. This position's entirely stacked, and all right, well, what are you going to do? What's going to happen? And when is it cheaper to go that route of the younger talent versus sure, I'm not saying that Starlin Castro's old. By no means is he. I mean, I don't even think he's 25, right?
Yeah, I think he's like 24. You're right. Yeah,
So, I mean, it's so early to be talking about, a kid like that needing a change of scenery. I, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. I almost hope he would. He seems. Maybe it's just me projecting what I want to see on him, but do you think he plays up to a competition?
how do you mean that? Do
Like,
you think he's playing for his job because he sees the talent that's behind him?
no, I'm more so if the club is a quote contending team, is he going to play better? Is he
Okay.
going to bat better? I mean, when the lights are brighter, is he going to show up more? I'm not saying this guy has to
Is
go.
he the anti Adam Dunn? Is what you're asking?
Yes, pretty much.
Um, that's a good question. We haven't seen him on a contending team. Nothing even close. Ever since he
Yeah.
came up, the Cubs have pretty much, have been a kind of rebuilding ever since he came up. So I'm not sure. I guess we would have to see it.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, it's something that I guess we can project as just as observers because uh, he's always had that challenge. And at the time that they did bring him up to the majors, it was still a challenge to stay in the majors. Well, not saying that he's having Jamarcus Webb syndrome and becoming a sponge, but okay, he's not. What's really behind him? Yeah, there's some young talent there, but he's got a guaranteed contract, tens of millions of dollars, more money than generational wealth for his family. Um, what's the next motivation? And you hope it's the motivation to win and to succeed and to be a cornerstone of you know soon to a marquee franchise and one of the most famous franchises in baseball. But I hate to say, is it enough? I'm not saying trade him to the Yankees and get whatever you can for him because that to me is ludicrous. But we'll see what happens when the when the lights do get a little bit brighter here in a couple of years when the Cubs are set to quote unquote contend. And they're on that path to simply because of the bodies that they've